This is longtime gamer Venry Fairden introducing Uncle Troy's Minecraft videos.
Hello there folks, Uncle Troy here playing a little Minecraft, sitting at one of my skeleton spawner traps, picking up some arrows and bone meal, and watching their little legs twitch as they burn to death in the lava up there. And somebody recently asked, Uncle Troy, have you ever done a tutorial on how to make a skeleton spawner trap? And my initial reaction is, do you not know how to use the search function? Because the very first Minecraft video I made was how to make a skeleton spawner trap. And in fact, pretty much every so often I make another one. Let's see, I've been here a little while. So, how to make a skeleton spawner trap. I figured I'd do a full-blown tutorial, not just on how to build the trap, but some of the theory behind it, I guess is a good word. And as I've mentioned before, Minecraft is a very bad influence on me because I am quite happy to sit here for hours and watch things burn to death. I will also watch them drown, which is another way you can make this trap. But let's go back to creative mode and work out some theories here. Disconnect, single player, spawner tutorial, that's what I created. Build my terrain. Okay. So here is a very large, very useless skeleton spawner trap. And as you can see, the skeletons there you go. Now we're going to assume this jack-o'-lantern here is a spawner because I couldn't find a spawner block in creative mode. And it spawns skeletons. And they float around in these water currents, push them together, and they get what's the word I'm looking for? Traffic jam here. I mean, eventually they fall through the hole. But the traffic jam is because I was just sitting here spamming skeletons. And they all kind of just piled up. Normally there won't be more than about 4 in here at a time, and they'll come out easy. Alright, these slimes are getting on my nerves. Flint and steel. As I was saying, the skeletons splash around until they're pushed together in this one little hole. Then they are washed along these water streams until they come over here. And as you can see, the skeletons' feet will be wet when they reach this point. So they try to jump up, and they jump up into this too high column of water. Because it's too high and they're coming in from directly below, the skeletons will stack. So even if they don't swim all the way up into the lava immediately, they will. In fact, let me get rid of the lava just to show you what I'm talking about here. So now the skeletons cannot get to the lava. So, did I not just kill all of you? There we go. So the skeletons come up, and they get there and they stop. And you say, well, that's no good because the next skeleton that comes along, he won't be able to get up into the water. The next skeleton that comes along. There we go. There's another skeleton coming along. As you see, they just kind of stack together. So, why are there so many slimes? And the only way to get rid of them, I think, is to set it into peaceful mode, but that causes all my skeletons to disappear. Anyway, as you can see, the skeletons will all stack together here. and drown with no problem whatsoever. Now, you may say, why is there a door here? Well, notice that all the bones and arrows are stacked up against that door. You can gather them just by doing this. Listen closely. Even with the door closed, you can pick up all the items dropped, and with that door closed, the skeletons can't shoot you or can't get to you. Alright, normally there's only about 4 skeletons in here at a time. And they usually don't spawn all together, so usually have time to come down here and be washed through one at a time without too much traffic jam, he says. And no matter how much they fight the current, eventually they all get pushed through. They all come down here, they all get washed up to here, and they all drown. And because the spawner spawns within about 4 spaces of this this location, the spawner looks out about 8 spaces. Well, let me build us another little teaching aid, and then I'll be back to you. Okay, here's our teaching aid. This is we're going to pretend that pumpkin in there is again a spawner, and this is a 3 high, 9 wide, 9 tall, or 9 by 9 by 3 area, and this is the area in which the spawner can spawn monsters. Now actually it's it's 4 in every direction from the spawner. It's actually not 4 in every direction, it's 4 in one direction and 3 in another, but I can never remember which the directions are, so it's easier just to make it 4 in every direction, to make this 9 by 9 by 3. 1, 2, 3. You can see the spawner is directly in the center, and it can spawn on the same level, 1 level below and 1 level above. Now, in nature, for lack of a better term, here we've got a simulated dungeon. Normally there would be walls, so the spawner would not have the full area to spawn in, because it cannot spawn anything in this level because it's has a block there, and it can't spawn anything more than a couple or 3 spaces away because there are walls all around it and there are chests in the way. And then there's the space taken up by the spawner itself. This is the theoretical area in which a spawner can spawn, is what's shown by the glass here. Now, there's a couple of caveats to that. One is if there is a block up here and this mob you're spawning is like a skeleton too high, well, I'm too high, I can't get into this space because there's a block here. If you put the ceiling this close to the top of the spawner, then this top row of spawnable area isn't spawnable. I hope I'm explaining that properly. There has to be room for the mobs to spawn. Likewise, this one space here underneath the spawner, a monster can't spawn right here because there's not enough room for them with the spawner right above them. Likewise, if the monster spawns here directly above the spawner, oops. Now he does have room, but because the monsters sometimes are quite happy to stand on a pillar all day long, your skeleton might just stand up here forever and never get washed down into your trap. So I usually fill in directly above the skeleton spawner. That way, if a skeleton, I'm only slightly reducing the amount of spawnable area, but we don't have to worry about a skeleton spawning on top of the spawner and staying there forever. Okay, one more teaching tool. I'll be right back. It's only sleeping at night is getting annoying. Okay, so here we've added a extra zone of yellow wool for no particular reason. Alright, then this is about 8 spaces away from that spawner. Or in other words, this is about a 17 by 17 area. And actually it should be up here level with the 3 deep glass blocks, but I got lazy and set it out here just to give you an example. But when it comes time for the spawner to spawn, which is on average about every 24 seconds, I think, it looks inside a 17 by 17 by 3 area and says, how many monsters are there here? How many monsters are there of the type that I'm wanting to spawn? And if there are less than 6 or thereabouts, it tries to spawn in this little area here, this 9 by 9 by 3 area, up to 4 monsters. And if you have this, set up in a way that these monsters spawn, they're unobstructed, have the maximum number of spawning areas, you'll get 4 most of the time. And if you have the water currents and whatnot set up to pull them out of this 17 by 17 area here, before the next time it wants to spawn, then the spawner is most likely to spawn 4 again, and you get maximum output. Now to be within, let's see, where's me another color wool? Let's go with purple. Now to keep the spawner active, you have to be within 16 spaces of it. Alright, so you have to be this close to the spawner for the spawner to spawn. However, the monsters have to be farther than this far away from the spawner for more to spawn. And this area in here has to be clear for the maximum number of monsters to spawn. So ideally, you would want to spawn monsters in this area and then move them out of the yellow zone out here into make your killing or collection zone or whatever out here. Something like that. If you put water along this wall, every space, actually every other space, it'll fill in between. Then anything that falls down in here from, say, that spawner will get washed in this direction. And that takes it about that far. Now, you can use various tricks to extend the water, but you want to run your monsters out, let's say that's a zombie, out into this area, and then hold them or kill them out here. And then if you want to deactivate the spawner, well, you can go back over here out of the way. Or you can do some fancy thing with pistons to drop lava or send lights in or something, but we're not going to do that. So over here, anyway, that's all the theory around it. So over here, we took the spawner, we dug out the floor under it about 3 blocks underneath. And you say, why 3? Well, the mobs are going to try to spawn at this level, and this level. Then they're going to try to fall because they're affected by gravity. Regardless of whether they fall, they're going to land down here in the water. And if the spawner was right here, if I'm trying to jump up and swim up, as you can see, I can bang my head against this block here, and if I time it just right, I can just bounce up forever and not go through. But if I take that one out, then no matter how high I bounce, I can't catch my head on that, and I will be swept away. I made it too high above so that if a monster tries to spawn here, they don't hit their head. And again, I put 2 blocks here so that they can't spawn directly on top of the spawner and then just hang out here saying, hey guys, what are you doing down there splashing around? I'm going to stay up here where I'm safe. Can't spawn. That's what I don't like. You cannot spawn monsters in peaceful mode, but if you want to keep the slimes out of here, you have to go into peaceful mode. There we go. Now the crazy thing is, when I've made skeleton or zombie spawner traps and I've left this open above it, or even spider spawner traps for that matter, the mobs just want to stand up there forever, but when I test it in creative mode, they jump off anyway. Weird, huh? But trust me, I have spent many a day trying to figure out how to keep them from trying to make multiple. There we go. Isn't that weird? You might put multiple up there, they push each other apart. Okay, anyway. My point being is that I made some fancy water thing to wash them off. It just got real, excuse me. So it's just easier to do that, keep them from coming out. I put glass here just to make this easier to see, but in reality you'd want this all to be cobble or some other durable, opaque material. Now, the reason why I came up with this whole design in the first place is, used to be the mob drowning systems or whatever were some variation of this. They would spawn, they would get pushed over, and they would go into the water. And you would use a downward water current with glass, and they would get sucked down. I hope you can see that. And eventually would drown, and then their drops would come out the bottom here. Now they're starting to drown good. And my problem was that my skeletons were too smart. They were too good as swimmers, and they would just never fall down in here and drown. They would swim. They would bounce around at the top of that just all day long. And naturally, now that I'm trying to demonstrate that, they fall down just fine. Look at that. They fall down and they just drown just fine. Isn't that ridiculous? So I thought, well, if they're going to swim, and I just seen a video on a compact vertical mob evader that used a vertical column of water source blocks. And I'm like, can I wash you away? Bye-bye. Oops. Okay. So I thought, well, yeah, see how well that's working? That would not work for me. I made a dozen of those. They did not work. So I thought, well, that's when we came up with this vertical mob evader system. And then later it occurred to me, hey, you stick a block of lava up here supported by a sign. Do I have a sign handy? And now the skeletons. Give me a couple skeletons, please. Swim around here. They either go up there and they stack nicely and drown, or if you do that with the lava, they flow on up and immediately burn to death. And then you can pick up their drops through this door. You don't even have to open the door. I'm sure I mentioned that before. And you want to place the door from the inside. If you place the door from the outside, there is an open area here. And the skeletons sometimes miss their cue and end up here waiting for you. So that is the theory of how you want to design your mob evader, or your skeleton spawner trap. And here's a practical application, and now I'm going to let you watch me build one. Okay, we are now in creative mode in a backup copy of my multiplayer server. As you can see, here's my skittle of sheep. And over here somewhere we have a skeleton spawner, which we located very close to the base. And pay no attention to this grass. I'm trying to bring it down here because, as I explained in Pig Spawners Explained, this looks an awful lot like a pig spawner because as far as the single player game is concerned, it is a pig spawner. So I was trying to get grass down here. But I'm doing this in creative mode, so I don't have to worry about skeletons spawning, and I can, have infinite materials and whatnot. So here is our spawner, and we need to clear out 4 in every direction. Okay, we are now, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Messed up over here. Okay, now, don't really need, the only reason I'm closing this in as much as I am with the cobble is so you can get an idea of what a 9 by 9 by 3 area feels like. Anyway, this is the area in which monsters can spawn, is this 9 by 9 by 3 area, which we have cleaned out. Now, in order to give the monster some headroom, we need to go up about 2 more spaces. There we go. Alright, we actually probably only need, yeah, probably may not need both these spaces, but hey, why not? And let's, actually I went up 1 space too high, didn't I? Alright, well it won't hurt to go up a little higher. But ideally, to make the smallest possible trap, the ceiling would be right here. But we'll not worry about that right now. But like I said, we put a couple of blocks over here so the skeletons can't accidentally spawn on top of the spawner. Now, as you can see, if a skeleton spawned right here, and let's say, for example, we were sending them this direction with the water currents, they would bounce off this spawner. So we need to go down at least 1 more, but then they'll still try to jump, so we need to go 1 more. So we need to go down 2. Okay, so we are now pretty much finished with the digging part of the main spawning area, but in the process we come across some iron we need to collect, because if you're a fan of my show, you know I like to collect iron for no particular reason, and I don't like leaving these soil or gravel or sand or anything like that over here, because they are not very durable, and it's real easy to accidentally knock one of these out. And if a creeper got in here and blew up, well, if you had cobble, there'd be a lot less to repair. And if an enderman got in here somehow, I don't think they can move cobble and other stone materials like they can move dirt and grass. The other thing we need to do is say, well, how are we going to get these monsters out to a killing area? So we do that with water streams. And we start over on one side, and it looks like we're going to be moving the monsters this way. Oops. So I have an infinite water bucket here in my in the creative mode, but if you only have 2 buckets, you can put 1 bucket in the corner, 1 bucket of water in the corner, 1 about 2 spaces out, and then you can pick up water in the middle here, because you just made a miniature infinite spring. And then you can simply keep picking that up and moving it over. So now, any monsters that spawn out in here, around this spawner, will fall into this water and will be pushed over to here. And because they have no choice, they will eventually be pushed off this ledge into this trench. Again, we are going to replace all this with cobble, so that it's more durable, less likely to be accidentally misplaced, or accidentally knocked out, whatever you want to say. And ideally, you'd spend this whole time, while you're doing this, by the way, with as many torches as you can get on this spawner here. And also torches on the wall, because the spawners, I think, actually check the light level in the air blocks that they're trying to spawn in. Now, we have to decide once they get in this trench what to do. Now, you can put water on both sides, for example, and push them to the center like I did in that previous example, or you can put water just on one side and push them over to one edge. And that's what we're going to do this time. And actually, we're going to go bump, bump, bump. So anything that spawns around in here will eventually get pushed over to this edge. And once it does, it gets pushed over to here, where it will fall down and get pushed out this way, because we'll stick another thing of water right here. And thanks to water physics, the skeletons will not be able to jump back up this way. In fact, that's a common problem I have when I'm building these things is I set the water in place and then, hey, I can't get back up. I'm a little smarter than a skeleton, so I know exactly how to jump. Haha. More dirt that we don't want because, well, for reasons we explained before. Now, if we were going straight out one way or the other, basically we want to be at least 8 spaces away from this spawner here, so that the skeletons will go as far away as quickly as possible. Now, just by being in this corner, we're already about 3 spaces away, and water flows 8 blocks. So if we just go out here to however far the water goes before it stops, we are now a little over 8 blocks away from the skeleton spawner, so it's okay to build our collection or killing area here. But of course we are still comfortably within 16 blocks of the spawner itself, which is right over there. Alright, we put our door right here at the end of this water. So we can stand on the other side of this door. As I said, we are within 16 of that spawner. Actually, let me go something crazy here. You can see that we are currently, that spawner is not active. Can you see the pig is not spinning and the flames are not lit up? Take a step closer, we are. Step back, not active. Step closer, active. Not active, active. So standing here at the door, it's active. Alright, so we're getting the monsters to here. We need a killing area, and I just cleaned out some cobble that I probably should have left. There we go. Now we can either come on, let me there we go. Now we can put water up here and put a sign right here. Now the skeletons bouncing around, much like I'm bouncing around, will, because their feet are wet, are trying to bounce up. Oops. Yeah, they're trying to bounce up. So if we put water right here, they will bounce up into this water. And as you can see, they got a dead airspace up here. If we put one more block of water up here, now they are underwater and will drown. And to demonstrate that, let me pull a skeleton egg out of my hat. There he goes. So he comes up, and he, trying to swim up, swims up there, and then he's stuck. And because of the way this is designed, if multiple skeletons come up, they'll just stack right on top of each other. See? And then they slowly drown. And you say, well, these skeletons are hanging out here forever. Won't that affect my spawn rate? Well, no, because these skeletons are more than 8 spaces away from the spawner. So when the spawner checks and says, hey, is it time to spawn more animals? Are all my skeletons I spawned before been killed off by the player? Well, it will look within 8 spaces, and it will look out to about here or so, and say, oh, there's no skeletons out here because all the skeletons are out this way. Like I said, they generally don't spawn more than about 4 at a time. As you can see, they splash around there and filter out the hole one at a time. Now, they try real hard sometimes. This one here, he just knows if he can get just a little bit closer up here, he's safe. He's trying to get up here, but no, he ends up over there. And then about, say, 4 more spawn sometime soon. And again, they are washed down here. And they go up, and they slowly drown. And as I said before, you can easily pick up the drops through the door, or you can open it and let them wash on out. But if the door is open, sometimes the skeletons, if they're not in the middle of a jump when they come up here to the water, will just walk out the door and say hello. So you want to leave that closed. And of course, once you're finished, you're actually going to want to remove all these torches, which is another good thing about. And of course, there'll be skeletons behind you, so you run down here, and since there's a door here, you can just go clink, now, tink, ha ha ha, and watch the skeletons trying to kill you go up and drown. Now, let's suppose drowning's not fast enough for you. Okay, I'm going to put some dirt there and take it away. So now we have just one piece of water here. Put a sign there. Bring that up one more. I'm going to use some glass for this. It doesn't really matter what block you use. Come on. And we are going to place lava. Where's my lava bucket? Place lava right here. Actually, this probably needs to be a solid block because sometimes mobs want to glitch through glass. Alright, so now let's suppose we got a skeleton or two coming through down here. They go there, they hit the water, and then they go straight up and burn to death. And again, because you got the vertical movement through the water, the skeletons stack. And they don't bind up. And that lava is far enough away from that spawner that it doesn't really affect the spawning rate at all. And you could probably get away without having some of these corners here. But I like to put corners in place because sometimes skeletons can glitch out, and if they weren't here, skeletons could shoot through the corners at you. Okay, that is how I make a skeleton spawner trap. Or my latest design, I should say. And I think this this design's a little better than that last one I showed in creative mode in the big flat land, because this one you can seems to be a little less likely for the skeletons to bind up. So, questions, comments, complaints, whatever, just leave them in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer your questions in a future episode. In the meantime, this is Uncle Troy signing out. Please have a good night.